Glenn has been sounding like a character from Batman, if not Batman himself. Hello, my name is Mrs. Melanin.
And I'm Belief Mel.
And we're here with episode 133 of How Married Are You?
Okay, my name is Belief. This is Eva, and we've been married 12 years. Live in California, and we got
4 kids.
Relationships are scary, and it's very necessary that we share our love struggles, and we ask how married are you? Every week on a Thursday, shawty. If you're listening, you're in a wedding party. It's okay if you want to put your hands up. You got the questions, we got the answers.
It's chocolate baby story time.
Chocolate baby story time.
It's chocolate baby story time.
1, 2, 3, and
It's chocolate baby story time.
so I was hanging out in Anaya's and Uzi's room because our sheets were wet.
Our comforter wouldn't get dry in our dryer.
So Yvette laid it out on our bed. And I was laying in Uzi's bed, and something happened. Anaya hit Uzi or something like that. And I was like, Anaya, why did you hit Uzi? And Uzi said, she said sorry, Dad. She said sorry. Anaya hit me, but she said sorry. I said, okay, but why did she hit you? Well, Naya, why did you hit him? She said sorry, Dad. I was like, I don't care, Naya. Why? And she goes, I don't know. And I was like, what? Why did you put your hand up to hit him like this? And she goes, I wanted to give him a high five. And I was like, well, were you trying to give him a high five? She was like, no, I just hit him. And I was like, what? Ugh.
What in the world?
Yeah, man, that kid's crazy.
They cray.
What about you, babe?
That's so funny because Bree was telling me that yesterday she took the kids to the park while the boys were in music class.
Uh-huh.
And one of Anaya's little friends was there and pushed her. And Anaya was emotional about it, and Bree was addressing it or whatever. But then Uzi had Anaya's back. He was like, don't push my sister type thing. So I really like the bond that they're developing because he seems to they bicker sometimes or whatever, but
they got each other's back.
They be looking out for each other. Anaya is like mother hen over him, and he is like, that's my sister.
Yeah.
My chocolate baby story time.
Was that not it?
Oh. I was just piggybacking off of what you had just shared.
Okay.
That could be it because I don't know. I will share this. This is sweet, kind of. Mm-hmm. The other day on Sunday, I was in bed while Glenn was making breakfast. Glenn didn't pay attention to the time change, and he had everybody up in the wee hours of the morning. Mm-hmm. Technically, it wasn't the wee hours, but Anywho, I was in bed still, and I was sitting up in bed or whatever, and then all of a sudden, Raya kind of comes in, and he goes, Mom, can I read in bed with you? And he just sat next to me and read in bed.
Was he on my side?
He was on your Why is that a concern?
Because I know for a fact he didn't take a shower on Saturday night.
He said he did. I asked him too. I was like, well, are you clean?
Oh, okay.
He said he did. Are you sure?
Okay.
Saturday night?
I don't know. Maybe after we got back from hockey.
Because he seemed like he had on pajamas. After he...
Okay.
It was the night he had those pajamas on.
Okay.
He showered that night, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think so. Okay, cool. That's fine. Nice.
All right, y'all. So today, I was kind of talking to Glenn because I was having a conversation with an individual who is single.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep him named...
No, we're going to keep him nameless.
We're going to keep him nameless, but I was just
Wait a minute. I think he wants us to promote.
Promote what? Him and his singleness?
Yeah.
But I actually don't know if he's single.
Okay.
Anywho, I was talking to a young adult, and we were having this conversation about therapy. And he's like, I've heard you guys talk about it often, and, I just don't feel like I have the time for it. And I was like, what do you mean you don't have time for it?
Yeah.
I was like, You don't have an hour every other week that you can give. And he was caught off guard because he was like, well, I feel like every time I talk to y'all, you guys are saying you're going into therapy.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, we have like 3 different therapists that we're seeing. Glenn and I see an individual therapist, and then we do couples. And he was like, oh, that makes sense. And I was like, you definitely have an hour every other week.
Yeah.
An hour a month. Like, you have something. And so we were talking about that because this individual was talking about, like, in their singleness, like, that is something that they want to work on in the time, like, to prepare them for marriage. And I was like, yeah, I really think that that is valuable. And I don't, like, and then I started to talk to him about, like, just some of the things, because he asked me, he was like, so what difference do you think it would have made in our marriage
Right.
now? Right? Like, if I had done this work before I got married, how would that have changed things for our marriage in general? And so I started to bring it up to Glenn, and you seemed like you didn't believe it would make a difference.
Right. I just thought that.
Which is interesting because I feel like you've been a huge encourager of people to work on themselves now.
Well, here's the thing, is that I don't necessarily. Okay, so we were having this conversation in the kitchen, and there's definitely a short clip you might have saw that we just produced that is talking about this. But you asked me, do you think it would have made a difference? And I was like, yeah, but no. Like, it wouldn't have, because I think I didn't know so much about me that I discovered more about myself once getting married. You know what I'm saying?
Wait, say more.
Like, once I got married, I found out more about myself that I don't know if I would have ever activated without you, without a spouse. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that you should definitely do self-work before you get married. But I do think some things about you can only be discovered once you have a partner. Do you agree?
I definitely can see that, but I feel like for us, like, a lot of the issues that we've experienced on my side as a result of my family of origin and the work that I'm doing, I feel like has been showing. You keep picking at me.
Well, you got crumbs all over you.
Was that a crumb?
You've been eating Chipotle.
Guys, we have Lily in the studio with us today. So if you hear random breathing.
Yeah, or scratching, it's the dog.
It's the dog.
Okay, so you were saying.
I was saying that the way that I showed up in our marriage, I feel like I show up in other relationships in some, like, obviously not 100% the way, but the people pleasing, and that's pretty much all I'm talking about. I feel like that could have revealed so much to me before.
Well, I don't even know if you thought, okay, I would say that, but I would also think that you wouldn't even know it was a problem. It wouldn't be something you even brought up in your therapy.
No, I think it would have come up because I would have probably talked about how exhausted I am regarding life in general. You know what's interesting? You know Elise Myers?
Yes.
You do know, you don't know. The girl on TikTok, she tells stories really well.
I know Elise Myers. Yes. She follows us on TikTok.
She follows? Oh,
Yeah.
I love her. Anywho, she has a podcast. Did you know that?
I did not know.
It is good. It is
Okay.
good. I've only listened to 2 episodes, but so far I'm enjoying it. But in the most recent episode, and second episode that I listened to, they were talking about, I guess there's this other infamous TikTok out there where, oh my goodness, I forget how it goes, but it's basically like the guy is saying like, yeah, I know who I am. And like, it was like basically him identifying himself, performing to be the person that the person he was talking to needed him to be. And that's how he shows up everywhere, where it's like, I'm who you need me to be right now, but I'm not necessarily being authentically myself. And I think at some point I would have gotten exhausted by that and spoke about it in therapy. But you're right. Like, I don't know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, if that stuff would have come up.
Yeah, because I'm the one that's kind of
I think it would have.
You think so?
I do, because I probably would still be at the same church, and I would probably, or would I don't know. I would be exhausted and complaining, I feel like.
Okay, so do you think your friend group would have advised you, because someone would have had to been like, you might want to go see somebody, right? Because I think the reason why you needed therapy as much is because you couldn't communicate with me too, right? Like,
Yeah, like I wasn't able to express myself the way that I needed to express myself because I would have to filter myself too much. And I didn't have the wherewithal to do all that.
yeah, because before you got a therapist, you were like, I need someone to talk to. I just need someone to talk to. No one listens to me. You know what I'm saying? And I think that with your friend group, you might have had a lot of people to listen to you and talk to you. So would you have been activated toward therapy? I'm not petting you no more.
Don't lick me.
Go lay down. Lay down. You hear her like huff and get frustrated and walk away?
Yeah, because you spoil her.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think your friend group would have, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying they probably wouldn't be the same people now, right, babe? They would be different people. And so don't you think they would have served as a therapist?
No.
Okay.
I definitely think they would be like, I mean, I still need those type of people too. Like sometimes you just need people that you can vent to at some point and be like, yo, this is how I'm feeling. Because you don't want to have to pay somebody every time you need to talk to somebody. So I still think it's necessary to have like-minded people who you know are going to hold you accountable and who are aligned to the same faith that you are. However, I think eventually I would have realized it. I'm not sure. I mean, I would have hoped. This is hard.
Yeah. It's a lot of, because it's so complicated, because I think a lot of the things that alerted you toward therapy, like the initial thing was like, I don't know what it was for you in your solo therapy, but I know for us in the couple therapy, it was, he doesn't value what I value. He just wants to work. And I want to be with people. Right?
I mean, the reason that I wanted us to do couples therapy is because I found doing my individual therapy to be valuable. Like having someone help sort out the thoughts and feelings that I was having. And I knew that we needed a mediator, and I knew it couldn't have been my individual therapist. Yeah,
but the primary issues were those things that I remember that us first discussing. So what I'm saying is that solo therapy, that journey, what was your initial reason for going? You didn't have someone to talk to. What
I was losing my identity. I was transitioning from being a teacher, like working full time, to being a stay-at-home mom of 3. And I felt like it wasn't fair because most parents that are stay-at-home parents start off with 1 kid, and then they add a kid, and then they added a kid. But I was kind of just at 3. And I know in your head, you're like, you did that to yourself.
I didn't say that.
You said it with your facial expression.
You said it with your mouth. I didn't say it. That was the Holy Spirit convicting you.
No.
Yeah.
Don't touch me.
That was oil right there. That was laying oil on you.
Anywho. And so I think for me, it was like, and then I think I had heard Melissa share on their podcast about how motherhood can be one of the biggest identity thieves. And that just like really resonated with me in my spirit. I'm not sure if it was before I started therapy or what, but that was something that I was like, I am having an identity crisis. This is not what I thought it was going to be. I don't even know how to go back to what I was doing before, because I feel like everyone would look at me like, what are you doing? You're all over the place, whatever. And so I needed to talk through it all with someone to make sure that I was like really aligned with the person who I was desiring to become.
So what I'm saying is that motherhood activated those feelings.
But I think that, you're saying, okay, go ahead. Say more.
So I'm just saying that without you, like, okay, so if you were able to just continue to teach in your profession and you didn't have any baggage, a husband and kids, right? Say if you didn't have anything, you would have continued to work that way and pursue professionalism, and that would have been your identity. When would you have said, I'm out of here? Like, I need to go to therapy. Like, what would have, because I feel like at that point, you were accomplishing the things you had written down. Mm-hmm. You were successful, and you would have been dedicating all of your time. You wouldn't have had to balance coming home and doing laundry. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't have to come home and, you know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't have to balance all that other stuff while grading papers and all this other stuff, right? Like, if you were able to do that, and that is what you had decided, I feel like your self-resolve would have been that, well, this is what I always planned to do. I'm doing it. I just need to be happy about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if you would have went to therapy, because that's the question that we're asking these young people, to say like, hey, like, I know that you don't think you need therapy and everything's fine and you're progressing. But if you don't make the decision to go to therapy now and start to figure out some of these things that are very subtle in your life, but they're issues, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to come back around full circle when you get married.
So what you're saying is, right now, individuals who are in their single phase of life are not necessarily activated toward therapy.
I don't think a lot of them are, because they don't understand. They don't think anything is wrong. Mm-hmm. Right? They may be like, I'm just not like that.
So I think, like, let's take you, for instance, because I feel like I'm about to say the wrong thing.
Don't look, and I'm not telling you not to say anything. You're feeling that on your own.
Okay. I'm just going to say this. I feel like for you, as a person that comes from like a 2-family household, or how would you describe that? Like,
what?
Where your parents,
broken home.
A broken home. I didn't want to say,
Yeah, dysfunctional family.
Yeah, like someone like you, like that's an obvious issue. But therapy wasn't, like, didn't you think that was like an obvious thing that you would probably have to work through, like your relationship with your dad?
Mom and dad.
Yeah, like that didn't seem like it could activate you toward therapy?
I think that those things were obvious problems that I needed to redefine. But therapy, I feel like, just became popular like 4 or 5 years ago. Like even like 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago when we got married, nobody was talking about going to therapy.
Not you're saying therapy got popular.
Yeah. So like, I don't know, like even though I know those were issues, I didn't want that for my life. I didn't know that I needed to set a new foundation in my beliefs because even still, like, I feel like I was doing well even before therapy. I'm not saying that I'm not doing 10 times better now, but when you're in there, before you're in therapy, you don't recognize that there's an issue. You just act a certain way and you just are how you are, and everybody deals with it because they don't have to deal with you all the time. Once you get around someone who's constantly affected by all your behaviors and your attitude, you're like, I got to go talk to somebody because I want to kill this person. You know what I'm saying? Or like, why do I want to kick? All he did was ask me to take out, you know what I'm saying? The meat. So, and like, why is that bothering me? You know what I'm saying? Like unthought of meat or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, little things start to show up and you don't realize that these microaggressions are coming from a place from way down deep in your childhood. So I think that marriage can activate you to pursue therapy with a little bit more like this is the problem. And then you say, okay, this is the root. You guys eventually get to the root with therapy. But when you're single, you don't even see the problems. You just kind of like, nah, this is who I am. Right. And so with some people, I listen to them and I watch them and they just think they're fine. You know what I mean? And they are fine because no one has to move around or adjust to them. Right. If you don't want to hang out with the homie, you don't hang out with the homie. You don't like kicking it with this person, you don't kick it with them. Like, that's just, it is what it is. Like, but really it's like, no, you have so much unforgiveness that you can't trust anybody with this aspect of your life. So you hide it. And that is why you need therapy. You know what I'm saying? But that's kind of where I'm going with it. So I'm saying that I think it's important to pursue therapy because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, go ahead.
No, keep speaking because I'm going to change the subject.
Because like, I feel like, when we're at the gym and you work out by yourself, you're like, man, I was there for 30 minutes. I did back, I did cardio, I did this, I did, you know what I'm saying? Lat pull downs, I did triceps, I did such and such and such and such. And then you do one of those workouts with a personal trainer and you are screwed because your form was trash. Right? So the workout, you worked out technically, you did the right things, but you didn't do it the right way.
And you weren't pushing yourself, you weren't pushing yourself.
Right. You weren't pushing yourself. You didn't have a spotter. You didn't have someone to be like, okay, I talked to them and they said this. What should I do now? You know what I'm saying? Like, you need someone to like challenge you and apply pressure to certain areas where you just think you're fine in.
That I can definitely see that. Because I was thinking along the lines, and this was going to be my next question for you, is if you had gone to therapy before marriage, how do you think our marriage would have shown up differently? Or you would have shown up differently in our marriage?
I think my relationships with my parents will be way better than they are. I think my relationship with my sister would have been better, my brother. I think I would have been able to notice some of the things that are kind of like, I don't know why that bugged me, but that bugged me. But I'm not going to say nothing about it. I'm going to be passive aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Like a therapist would be like, well, why did that bug you? Well, okay, so what's going to happen? What's going to prevent that from happening again? Are you just going to let it keep bugging you? Or are you going to, you know what I'm saying? So I think that those relationships will be better. And as a result, I would be able to deal with, some of the people in your family better. You know what I'm saying? And even the outside village. You know what I'm saying? Because my one experience with having a community makes me feel like everybody's a threat. You know what I'm saying? Like my one very small experience with a very acute group of people that's just like, these are your friends. And it was kind of like, that didn't go well. Anybody I'm come around, kind of like, I don't know, And so it's the reciprocal, like all the time that I was dealing with those things, which were very pivotal points in my life. I didn't even know you don't understand how pivotal some of the decisions you're making are right now. Like, you don't know that these are going to be like points in your life where the whole thing changed and you went this way. Like, just by taking one risk or having one conversation or making one friendship, like, and linking, partnering with some people, like, that's going to change the trajectory of your life. And not that those things are good or bad, but how you interact while you're there, you're actually building the foundation of how you interact with the people in this stage now who could potentially be great partners and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I was asking you that question and I feel like you didn't answer it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Because I was saying, how would you show up differently in this relationship, in this marriage? But you answered it with like all the extended members of.
Well, that's it. I do believe that because a lot of our friction points is because of my experiences with past relationships. And so if my experiences from past relationships were different, I would be more open to experiencing life with more people intimately, which would change the dynamic of our relationship because we would pursue friendships as a community, you and I, instead of these are your people and these are mine. You know what I'm saying? I do think that there would be there would be a little bit more, because you're saying like, how would that benefit us? I don't know if I would have been I don't know. I still think I would have tried to please you in the beginning.
Because that's the word I was getting to right there. That one right there. Because I feel like if you would have understood your relationship with your mom prior to marriage, then maybe you could have seen sooner, because maybe you still would have been trying to please me, but at some point you would have realized you're exhausted or you don't really care to do that anymore in a way that, in an unhealthy way, obviously. But, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like you probably would have been able to, because my experience with therapy is I can experience something and be like, I can be performing or doing the unhealthy behavior. And in the moment, I may not be aware of what I'm doing. But once I walk away from it, I'm like, oh, shoot.
I did it again.
You know what I'm saying? And so then the next time I have an interaction with said person or situation, if it's soon thereafter, it's easier for me to be like, okay, wait, I'm not going to let this happen again. Let me regroup and approach the situation or this person differently. Does that make sense? And so I feel like had you done that work and been able to see that part of how that relationship impacts how you relate to women that you're in relationships with, then maybe you would have done it for less years.
No, I don't think so. I think that the thing is, it's kind of like if someone that is challenging calls me, I have a right to just not answer the phone, and I have no accountability to answer the phone if I'm single. Or like, you know what I'm saying? So like, I would avoid it. I still would avoid it. You know what I'm saying? Because it wouldn't be something I brought up in therapy, like, hey, such and such called and I didn't answer. I'd just be like, hey, my week was good. You know what I'm saying? It's when we're like, hey, such and such is going to be at this party. We're all going. Our friends, our kids are their kids' friends, and I'm the wife's friend, and this is this situation. Are you trying to be there? No, but I'll go. But now I got to reconcile this. Why am I feeling this way? Right? When you're single, you are not forced to be anywhere you don't want to be when you're not tied to a community. Marriage is a different type of accountability, right? It is a community within a community, right? So we are married inside of a small group of married people, and we are all a pillar in our community. You know what I'm saying? And so with that information, in order for us to be good, we all gotta like, hey, like, I know this couple is not about this. We know this person in this couple is not going to do this. And we are going to respect that because we honor each other. We honor the community, right? And we want to stay a part of this community because this is where we find our freedom and we find our comfort and we can joke and be alive and have fun and do all these things. When you're single, you know, if you find yourself like, man, I'm in this community, but I don't want to be, or like I'm in this community, but I don't want to change, you could just not hang around those people. You know, that's why it's important that if you're not married and you are in community with people, they are people that you are mentoring and are being mentored by. You know what I'm saying? So it's people that you are submitted to. And so a lot of people don't like therapy because they don't like accountability or submission. They don't want to be told what to do at all.
I don't necessarily even think a therapist tells you what to do. They just kind of help guide you through.
Nah, like, I mean, like you listen to, like they don't tell you what to do. They let you tell yourself.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of people don't even like that. But before they even get to the point where it's kind of like, the therapist goes, why are you doing that? You know how long it took for our therapist to say that to me? He's just like, oh, yeah, man, I feel you. I totally get it. Yeah, I totally get it. For months. And then he's kind of like, why are you doing that? Like my therapist now is, you know, it could be aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And not in a bad way, but in a way that I understand he's there for my benefit. He is definitely committed to my growth and my success, and I trust him. But that took a long time to gain that trust there, right? And so most of these people, I was definitely anti-therapy before we started this because I didn't feel like I had time, right? Now, so we know that. But I was not anti-community or anti-fellowship or anti-submission.
Facts.
I had people in my life that you could be like, man, dude, tripping. And those people had access to counsel me, but it was free. You understand me? Now, we're paying for it. It's different. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, I got something to talk about every week, every other week. I got something to talk about. This is important, and I'm invested. Like, we're not talking about someone who, it's different because like some people are like, oh, you need to go to therapy. Some people ain't really got the time to do that. You know what I mean? Some people can't afford it. Other people, like, they just don't want any type of pressure, and not that therapy is pressure, but it is a look at yourself. It's a lack of comfort. Yeah.
Like, it takes people out of their comfort zone, and some people just really don't like that.
Yeah.
I am that person.
And so my therapist is like, dude, like, all right, I need you to write it down. I need you to write down everything you did in a day. And I need to give yourself a grade because I think that you think that you're not accomplishing anything. And I need you to really think about what you did today. And you did a lot, right? Who else could have did it? Nobody. That's the type of conversations we have. Who else could have did it? Nobody. Nobody could have did that. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so if you're the only person you could do it, why are you giving yourself a hard time about getting stuff done? It's not that serious. These are the type of conversations we have, right? Now, everybody doesn't need that type of, lift up and stuff like that. But when people feel like they got to walk on eggshells around you, when people don't tell you the truth about yourself, when people avoid you or refuse to be in your company not because of their own issues, but because of something that, you make them feel or something like that, like, those are just maybe things that you want to think about. Like, man, I have a thing about me. Like, I just was telling my homie this, like, I got people that only call me once a quarter because I'm always so heavy on them. I'm heavy. Like, yo, why you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, somebody was like, man, I did this thing and I didn't even want to call you because I knew you was going to say I told you so. I was like, no, I'm proud of you. You know what I mean? But the fact that a lot of people say that about me, like, I have a problem with that because I don't want that to be the story, right? That is told about me when I die or whatever. Or when I'm not around. But I do believe that, what?
It's a part of your story.
Yeah, it is a part of my story. But I do believe that I would love for people to know not only that, but how much I care. But I love that people tell me those things, so I'm aware of how I make people feel. One thing you don't want to be is blind, right? You never want to be blind. It's okay to be blind in the world because everything is new. But when you are blind to yourself and you don't even know the ways that you hurt people, that's a problem. And when someone say, hey, you hurt me, you can't even hear them because you're so defensive. That's a huge problem. And that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people who cannot look at themselves in the mirror. We're looking at people who, we're dealing with people who, refuse to be honest with themselves, that do the bare minimum work on themselves, but the outer layer is good, right? So it's all polished on the outside, but then the inside is gross. And when you get around your family members and the people that are close to you, it falls on them and it is heavy on them, and they don't want to be around that, So if you're dealing with those type of people, right, you need therapy because you don't even realize it's leaking onto you. And so I would say that, I do believe I'm in a better place today. I don't know if I would have made it through some of the tough times in my life this past couple of years without the therapist.
That's really cool to hear.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about myself, and I feel like my own experience has allowed me to grow closer to me. Because I feel like so much of my life has been spent with people telling me who I am versus me actually like knowing who I am, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm becoming who I'm supposed to be. And the foundation that I'm standing on is becoming more sturdy. Because it's a foundation that I feel like the Lord and I are co-laboring in. And it's not something that is like, oh, my family of origin, which I feel like family of origin is valuable, like in creating who I have become.
Yeah.
And so I don't discredit that at all. It's just that I want to take more ownership of who I am versus allowing people to inform Yvette who she is. And I think that, like I shared in the last podcast, was that last week? Where like even just breaking down that wall to where I was able to encounter little Yvette has just been so impactful, because I feel like a lot of times as I move and I groove, and I'm like, am I honoring her? Am I honoring that person? And I even believe that being a mother or a parent is very, like as I'm walking through my own therapy journey and just acknowledging little Yvette and how important she is, I feel like my own journey while watching my children grow and develop is valuable, you know, like in just nurturing them and allowing them to be children and not forgetting that aspect of it and trying to honor their voice and who they are and the things that interest them. What was it, Theo the other day? He was kind of being a smart aleck, but he was like, well, you be you and let them be them or something. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
What did he say?
I don't remember.
But it was something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's really good. I receive that.
Yeah.
And you do the same.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think, and it's hard to convince people who are single.
Yeah. That the time is valid.
Even married people. It's hard to convince them to just like, yo, you probably want to stop talking to me about this and go talk to a therapist. Like, I ain't got nothing to tell you no more. Like, I keep telling you the same thing, and every time I say, man, you might want to go to therapy, he won't go. She won't go. Well, you go. Like, work on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is so frustrating. And so if you got time to talk to me and take 2 hours out of my day, then you got time to talk to a therapist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think sometimes it's not. I think a lot of the time, I don't know though, maybe we should take a poll, but I feel like a lot of the time it's more so resources than it is time. But I also think that the other partner, like both partners agreeing to go, is a thing as well. Like it's usually one person that's like, yes, I'm totally down. And then the other person's like, nah.
Yeah, and sometimes like the no, like the reason why it's like nah is because it's like you really don't want to know what I have to say. You know what I'm saying? Like some people are just like, yeah, I don't, nah. You know what I'm saying? But I do think people are more open to it these days. I just know that the majority of the people that we run into who are anti, they're really anti. You know what I'm saying? Like they're like, it's something wrong with you if you need to talk to somebody. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, nah. You know, and it's just like crazy to me what happens behind closed doors in a lot of those relationships. You know what I'm saying? Like the amount of like, it's just a lack of accountability. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think we should do a whole podcast on people's expectations of us because we've been so consistent in showing our lives. There are a lot of people, not a lot, I would say it's some people who say like, man, you guys are like I used to like Will Smith and Jada, but now it's y'all. And I'm like, oh my Lord,
Please don't put us on pedestal.
Please don't. You know what I'm saying? This one girl goes, I really look up to them. And if I ever found out a scandal came out about them, I would really be hurt. You know what I'm saying? And like
too.
Commented. I was like, so would I. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to mess up my legacy.
Me too.
It's going to hurt me more. But I do think we should talk about that because I realize the amount of people that need an example and proof. And it's like, you are that for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's literally the version that you're looking at of us right now is a year from you. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just apply everything we're saying and you go be the one you're looking up to in 1 year. Mm-hmm. Don't let it take 12 years for your marriage to be good. You know what I'm saying? Like, do it now. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you could be that for you. You can be the one you look up to. You could be the one that, you know, inspires you, you know? And that's really a lot of the things that we do is we show you a lot so that you can say, no, thanks. You know what I'm saying? Or you can say, yeah, exactly. You know? And then do it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. How married are you, Yvette Nicole?
Why you use my middle name? I'm so married that before we started recording, I knew I needed lotion on my hands. And when I went and got a squirt, I got you a squirt too, because I knew you probably needed some too. How married are you?
No.
That's not a good one?
That's a good one, but I was going to tell you another thing you did.
What'd I do?
You have been using my truck and you've been scooting the seat back. So when I get in, I'm not clammed up in there. That is a real thing.
That's
and
12 years of marriage.
I appreciate that. That is like, that's a solid.
I even do it in Bree and Lexi's car too.
Yeah.
I move it back.
Because you don't know how it feels to get up in the car and you sitting there like, oh, and you got to, That's so uncomfortable.
That's so funny. How married are you, babe?
Babe, I don't think I got one. Let me think.
Oh, wait. I feel like I have one for you.
Wait. I got you.
Oh, babe. I'll tell you yours. I'll set it up and you can finish it.
Okay.
The other day I was showering.
Oh. Oh, yeah. You hit me with a, was it?
It was a
family night?
It was family night. But I was like,
that whole week, Yvette was home with the kids all week.
Oh my gosh.
All sick.
I realized I hadn't even, like last week, I don't think I came to the office at all.
No. And you had a night off and you like did something for the kids.
Yeah, I went to the daggone grocery store. I got, because Anaya finally had an appetite.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't want to like not feed her. Because she literally was not eating. The girl was like, I don't even know how she was alive.
Yeah.
But she wasn't eating, so I just kind of was like, whatever. But on Friday.
Yeah, she went to In-N-Out on her night off. And I was like, what?
And then the thing is, I left at like the time when everybody's getting off work. So the traffic it was like everybody was on the road. It was so annoying. And then when I came back, I think I just was in bed watching TV. What did I do? I don't even know.
I got one even better than that one, but okay, I'll use this one.
But on Friday, I called Glenn and I was like, bro, can you come home after the gym? Because he has the gym on Fridays at, I forget what time. I was like, can you just come home after the gym? Like, don't go back to the office. Come here.
That was crazy.
And he was like, no.
Yeah.
But this is how married he is.
I'm so married that I went and got some sushi. And I came in, Yvette was in the shower. I walked into the shower. I opened up the door, walked into the shower with sushi on chopsticks, and I just gave her a bite. And she was like, "This is perfect, perfect timing."
It was a great way for him to come home. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I was kind of like, don't hit me. Nah, but yeah, I knew that was a rough week, and I don't even think you got any time since you took.
Oh, I went
Sunday.
to the worship night the other day.
Yeah.
And that's just how married we are.